cause I'm bout it. If you bout it, yeah. Don't act like you are doing a favor, but honestly, I swear you're my savior. No, cause I'm bout it. If you bout it, yeah. Don't act like you are doing a favor, but honestly, I swear you're my savior. No, cause I'm bout it. If you bout it, yeah. Don't act like you are doing a favor, but honestly, I swear you're my savior. No, cause I'm bout it. If you bout it, yeah. Don't act like you are doing a favor, but honestly, I swear you're my savior. No.
Alright guys, welcome back to another ALS Basics and Unreal C++ Basics. I've tried to combine the two because I'll make separate Unreal Basics, but I tend to put some ALS in it just because the community is so huge. This is a good thing for us to go over with, and it's a good thing for us to learn. So I hope you guys can hear me. I hope my microphone is clear enough. I hope there's not anything receiving in the background. So let's just go over your basic Unreal controller, or basically your Unreal character class, and let's just go over what you have. So when you create Unreal, when you create an Unreal file, and we go to the C++ section, and we choose the third person template for C++, you're going to have a character and a game mode. And for today, I'll just go over the character. And in here, it seems like, wow, this is a lot to take in. Different colors. What's going on here? It seems rather complex and complicated to those who have not used C++ before. But I'm here today to tell you that it's actually not that hard. And so we're going to go over a few things. We're going to look inside of the C++ controller, and we're going to be able to distinguish what those things actually are and what they mean. So first of all, I want to introduce you to somebody. It's called Programmer Once. And what this does is, it's called Pragma. I think the correct pronunciation, correct me if I'm wrong, is Pragma Once. The correct pronunciation for that. But anyways, let's go over what it actually does rather than what the pronunciation is or the semantics that go on with saying different versions of it. So let us go over it. What this does is it's pretty interesting. It controls, or it basically says that most of these includes will just run one time, so that it doesn't run a multiple amount of times. It controls that. It says only once, okay? So that your headers aren't constantly running over and over again. Another thing to look at is, this is our class right here, which we saw in the CPP right here. This is our base class. We see it right here. It inherits from the A character. And you can actually look inside the A character and you can see a lot of boilerplate code. There's also some functions that you can try to understand, which is pretty interesting. So you could look, let's see here. Seize action. So we can actually look at what we can inherit, and you can see that there's a lot of different functions that you can actually inherit. So a lot of the common use ones are also in here as well. And you can look through, if you don't feel like looking at documentation, you just want to look through here and see, okay, what can I inherit? What can I override? What are the functions that I can override? You can just look through here and you can get a gist of it. Okay. So this is also good to know. for those who are new, they don't know that you can just go here in Writer and hit the hammer, and you can find the functions that you didn't know that you can override. You can find it there. So we've broken it down to pragma ones is for the include, so they don't run a lot. This is I didn't mention this, but I should. It's the U class, and it inherits from that U object. Basically, the purple thing is macros that you see throughout the code. It's for Unreal's garbage collection and reflection system. And you can also see that what I mean by that is once those are marked with those macros, it will automatically be garbage collected, so you don't have to worry about it. For further videos, when we get into pointers, we'll talk about raw pointers and we'll talk about smart pointers. But for right now, you just need to know that this class will be garbage collected. Generate body, also the same thing going on here. Just generates a body, but it also works with the reflection system. U property is for variables. Okay? And then in another video, we'll get into how we make U functions and different types of U functions. But let's look at one of these U properties right here. Well, it's got class U spring arm component camera boom. Well, what happened here was that it was what we called a for declaration. Instead of including it on the includes, we just included it as a for declaration, which means that we're not going to be wasting compile time over here. If we actually included the include, we could just do a for declaration and get that component and put it there. Now, the rule with Unreal is that if you have a component that has something here, you must initialize it in the constructor. Okay, so let's look at the constructor. Let's find out if that was actually true, what I said. So let's see right here. So camera component. You can look at all the camera component stuff right here. It's initialized in the constructor, and it's ready to go. And you can actually view it, and you can actually see what's going on, piece by piece, bit by bit. So as you can see, here's the camera component right here because we exposed it. We needed to expose it because you have to expose these things into blueprints if you want to use them. Okay, so let's continue to meddle in this thing a little bit more and dive in. So we see over here, you can look at it and you can see certain things that are going on. Okay, you can see that we have all these components here, and this is the way that UE kind of works, is that it works off of a component base. If you are familiar with the factory design pattern, that's a really good design pattern to think about on Unreal. It's the factory design pattern, but this is specifically that it's based off components. So initially, if you want to build a game in Unreal, you're going to have to build components, and that's how it works. There's a certain standard way of making things work instead of the other way around where you're constantly thinking about, okay, do I need to use this pattern or do I need to use the other pattern? No, UE kind of tells you in a way what you need to use. So we're just getting started, and let's move further down and look at some things. I just want to jump into here and look at some input. So here is what you would need if you're trying to do some input. And here's also the check macro that checks the input and gets it ready for binding. Let's see. Bind action is how we bind it, and IE pressed if it's pressed down, if it's released. And this is a really good example is to think about the jump when you're jumping up and you're jumping down. Okay, so UE already has this kind of built in, so you just need to call the function. And let's see if we can. You can actually see that they put this jump function in many different places over here. You can see that it's on the touch start function. It's right here, and then you can see that it's actually binded on that, right? So let's move down a little bit. Let's move down. Here's a really interesting one. Move forward. So as you can see, it's bind on the axis, okay, per frame over here. Because if you think about it, the bind action is actually an action you're committing. So like it would be like a jump, it'd be like a punch. But the bind axis is actually the movement. Actually, it's moving per frame. So move forward, move right. So it's got it right here. So all you have to do is get this function right here and bind it over here. And then you'll put a function in right here, okay? And so this is also some Unreal boilerplate stuff, but it just talks about if the controller is not a null pointer and it has a value, and its value is less than the 0 over here, both of these are true, then it's going to jump into here, okay? And later on, you'll be able to dive into it and see what's actually going on your own. But I just want to give you an idea of what's going on. So as you can see, we're moving down, and if this, it doesn't have, oh, I'm sorry, let me get back into it. I'm talking about access modifiers now. So these access modifiers, okay, for example, by default, it's private. So private means that it can only be seen in that particular class. Public means that you can see it throughout all classes that can inherit from it. And protected means that its children can see, okay? Okay, so let's just try to understand a little bit about what's going on. So you see, when I said that it's private, so if you wanted to expose it, you would actually have to put allow private access is true. And then on the other one, you would actually have to put also allow private access is true, or else it would probably just error out because you would need to mark it with something. Okay. So another thing that we need to look at also is, let's see, just go over here. Let's just scroll up. You can see it's almost like building Legos. Think of your constructor as something, or constructor. Basically, it's part of your class, right? Right here's where the constructor is. And everything that you want to happen, so you want to construct it like Legos, would probably go on here. Okay, it would go in here. So this is what a constructor is, okay? This is how the constructor works, and you can see that all the components that you're making, they must be constructed inside of here. If you call something that has the component at the end, even when I was talking about the ability system, it has to go in here and you have to put it in the constructor to set it up. Okay. So as you can see, this is just one of the basic ways that it works. So if you look at the includes, you're looking at core minimal, you're looking at gameplay, game framework, and then you're also looking at the generated header file. And you actually need this. If you don't have it, it's going to error out. These are some of the core stuff that you need for most UE games. So it's going to be naturally, it's going to be included. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed some of the video, and I hope that you've learned from it. And I hope